It's that time of year, everyone. It's finally come around. No, not what you think. It's time for the Premier League predictions again. We're halfway through the Premier League season. Yeah, listen, it's my channel, okay? That's the most important thing to talk about. The fact that we're halfway through the season. I made some predictions. Some are looking good. Some aren't looking good. And I'm going to revise them because I'm allowed to do what I want. If I want to change my mind, I'm going to change my mind. We've seen them for half a season now. We've got an idea of how teams are looking. And now we're going to make a final prediction on where I think teams will finish. Of course, we'll always refer back to the August one. This is the December edition with a lot more information. Let's do it. Let's go through what I had. Let's go through what I'm thinking now. I'm going to go through each position, tell you who I had in August and who I've got today. 20th, I had Sheffield United. They're showing some life under Chris Wilder, but I keep them 20th. I'm not changing my mind on that one. Then we move to 19th. I had Luton there in August. And to be fair, I'm not thinking much better of Luton, but credit. They made Liverpool, Arsenal, City work really, really hard for, points. I mean, Arsenal, City did win. Liverpool drew away at Luton. You know, they've made it hard work. And I think for that, they will show a little bit, I think they'll show some fight in the relegation battle, but I still think they'll go down. Burnley, though, are my new 19th place. I don't think they've shown enough. I think Vincent Kompany very much wants to play a certain brand of football. I absolutely respect it. They might go down, but they'll come back up. Burnley, I imagine playing this kind of way under Kompany. There's a longer term vision. I think they'll finish 19th. Then we move to 18th. I had Nottingham Forest, which, to be fair, maybe isn't so bad a shout because they've just sacked Steve Cooper, which tells you they're not particularly happy with where they are. They're not particularly happy with how things are going. So actually, maybe give myself a little bit of credit. I did foresee Forest struggling, but I don't think they'll go down. I've got 18th place Luton, like I mentioned. I'll give them a place above. However, if we move into 17th place, I had Wolves. Sorry, Gary O'Neill. I like Wolves. I actually like the work Gary O'Neill's doing. I like the work the Wolves are doing. I think they'll be a lot higher, and you're going to see that a little bit later. So my new 17th place side are Forest. I still think they'll struggle. I'm not sure Nuno Espirito Santo is the answer. But I certainly don't think they'll get relegated. I think they'll have more than enough to stay up. So then we move to 16th. I went for Crystal Palace. I'm sticking with Crystal Palace. I like Crystal Palace. I like Roy Hodgson. He said a few weird things. I know he's kind of taken it back, but he's talking about the fans maybe being spoiled over the years. He wasn't happy with some youngsters making impacts off the bench. He said some weird stuff. In fairness, he has apologised for those things. But yeah, something's just not quite right at Palace, and I think they will struggle lower. You know, lower. It's weird because you're saying 16th. That suggests relegation battle, but I think they'll always be far enough away. I think the bottom three will be quite comfortably there. Palace will be kind of 16th, but closer to 12th, if you know what I mean. Let's move into 15th, and I'm keeping this spot as well. I went for Fulham 15th. I'm sticking with 15th. Now that might surprise you when you look at some of the other teams I've got higher up. So let's unveil the next few. I had Everton 14th. I'm going for Wolves 14th now. I had West Ham 13th. I'm going for Bournemouth 13th now. I had Burnley 12th. Bad one that. And I've now got Everton 12th. And I had Brentford 11th. And I'm keeping Brentford 11th. So let me talk about all those teams in one go, because I think it's the best way to do it. Firstly, Brentford are getting Ivan Toney back. I don't think they're going to sell him in January. And they're kind of thereabouts anyway. I think they're 12th, 13th or whatever. Add Ivan Toney. They'll hit some good form. I trust Brentford and Thomas Frank. I think they're going to get that 11th spot. Now, Everton, who I've got 12th, would probably be in the top 8 if it weren't for the 10-point deduction. But, you know, they're showing little signs that, yes, they can go on a good patch and they can get some results. They'll have some shaky ones there too. I don't think Sean Dyche has kind of completely turned it around, but finishing 12th would be a very strong season. I still expect them to finish 14th. I didn't think they'd be in a relegation battle, and they're kind of proving me right on that front. Bournemouth, I've gone for 13th. Now, I had them in the top 10 earlier. Big up Andoni Iraola. I want it to work for him. I don't know why. I've just put stocks in him now. But, yeah, I don't think it'll be as good as 10th. That's where I had them before. I don't think it'll be as good as 10th. I think 13th is about right. And I think they'll just be above Wolves and Fulham, who, again, are good sides. But you could swap Brentford, Everton, Bournemouth, Wolves, Fulham. You could in any order. And I wouldn't read any order from 11th to 15th, which is quite a big gap, right? And I wouldn't be like, oh, you're crazy for thinking this or that about those teams. You could kind of mix and match them anywhere. But that's the order I've settled on. Would it surprise me if Fulham were 11th? No. Would it surprise me if Wolves were lower or higher? No, it absolutely wouldn't, but that's what I'm going with. So then we move into the top 10, and I mentioned I had Bournemouth, and I'm changing my mind on that. I now have West Ham. They've actually proven themselves kind of very solid. And again, if you watch, this is why just looking at where I had West Ham in the table slightly misleading, because in the prediction video, I said West Ham would be fine. I mean, last season they were kind of flirting with the relegation battle, and I said I don't think they'll be anywhere near that. And actually been proven right on that front. But 13th, perhaps a little bit low. They've got a lot of quality. Kudus is brilliant. I think they will. Yeah, they'll be 10th, and they'll be very comfortably in the top 10. So then the rest of the top 10 gets interesting. Now, Aston Villa fans, I know a lot of you hate me. I understand why. I understand why, is all I'll say. Because I had Villa to finish 9th. Now, in fairness, when you look at the teams I had above them, that's not that crazy a shout. But also like, wow, I'm really wrong on this. So I'll address Villa where I think they're going to finish in a bit. But I apologise now, because I think you're going to finish a lot higher, and I'm sorry. I've got Chelsea 9th now. They're not showing the consistency. A lot of players are betting in. I think they're probably going to add new signings in January. I don't really know how that's going to help things. They'll get some good wins. They'll have some good performances. They'll also lose some silly games. They've got to travel to the Emirates. They've got to go to the Etihad. They've got to go to Anfield. Yeah, I worry for Chelsea, but more crucially, I think the other teams ahead of them will just find a bit more momentum and a little bit more, what's the word? Consistency is the word I'm looking for. So Chelsea 9th. Then we move up to 8th. I had Brighton 8th. I'm sticking with Brighton 8th. I'm going to say that's a decent prediction, because I think they are 8th right now, I think. I'm sticking with that. I think they'll be, right there. By the way, for everyone who's like, hating on De Zerbi and saying, see, Brighton aren't all that. They lose their best players, they lose their manager, their staff, everything. And to still be 8th and competing in Europe, that's bloody impressive. I'm not even trying to talk down to Brighton. I'm just saying, let's appreciate the great work they're doing. 8th, and that'll be very, very good from them. I had Chelsea 7th. I've now got Manchester United 7th. I just think United, again, like I said about Chelsea, but just they've picked up enough points to stay a bit further ahead, and then they'll sort of keep getting a few wins and keep losing a few. I think they'll stick by Ten Hag, because I think they'll want to make a point that they're backing their manager, and so nothing will really get addressed, and they'll probably stay 7th. Then I move up to 6th. I had Tottenham 6th. I've now got Newcastle there, who are originally in my top 4. Injuries have played a part. I do think they'll get some signs. I think they'll work hard to get into the Champions League. I don't think they'll be miles off it, especially if 5th place does get you that spot. But yeah, Newcastle, I think. Too many cracks I've seen for me to think that they're going to get into the Champions League this season. But I might be wrong. They proved me wrong last season. 5th, I had Manchester United, which again, for all the ones that are getting wrong, I want to give myself some credit for the ones I got right. Now, with Manchester United, I said they were going to stagnate this season. Watch the video. I said I'm not sure they're going to kick on the way everyone thinks they are, with £65 million Mount and £70 million Højlund and all these players they've added. I just felt that something didn't feel right about their balance, and therefore I'm still predicting them to finish 7th, as you can see. But the fact I predicted them finishing 5th, it's actually looking quite good. Well, I don't think they're going to get any better than that anyway, because there's something isn't right. My new 5th place team, though, are Aston Villa. Now, you're probably thinking, so wait, you haven't said Tottenham, so you think they're going to finish above them? I'm going to come to that now by announcing that last season I had Newcastle 4th, but I'm now going Tottenham in the top 4. Now, let me say, that 5th spot might be Champions League football. I think Villa might well get Champions League football. They have shown a lot to make you think that they can go all the way, they can get this done. By get this done, I mean getting into the Champions League. I mean, maybe for the title. I don't know. Maybe some people are feeling that. For me, I know why Villa fans hate me. I had them 9th. I don't have Emery as the 3rd best manager in the league. And now I'm about to say something else. But just please hear what I'm saying. I think Tottenham, when they went through their bad run of results, where they actually played Villa, I actually think they still played good enough football against Chelsea, against City, against Villa, to pick up what was 1 point out of 9 in those. They probably deserved 7 out of 9. They should have beaten Chelsea in that first 15 minutes of the game. If it weren't for those reckless red cards, they win that game comfortably. And they were better than Villa. They had the better chances, and even when they went behind, they should have scored 4-5 in that game. For me, Tottenham, I think, will get Van de Ven back. They'll get Maddison back in January as well. They want to add Todibo apparently in January. I think they'll add 2-3 players in the window. They'll build on what Ange Postecoglou's doing, and I actually think they'll climb the table again. It's very easy to forget that 10 games in, they were top of the table unbeaten after 10 with 8 wins and 2 draws. Why? Because they were playing some of the best football in the league. And I think they will get back to playing some of the best football in the league and just beat Aston Villa to it, who, for all the great work they've done under Unai Emery, I think the second half of the season, there's going to be eyes on the FA Cup, there's going to be eyes on the Conference League run, and Unai Emery's sides just concede a few chances, and they can be quite open in games where they've won, against Arsenal, against Tottenham. I actually felt they looked a little open, and I think they might catch up with them, and they might just drop the table. So they might get Champions League football if that 5th spot gives it to them, but I'm not sure they're going to finish in the top 4. I'm edging it towards Tottenham. And before you call me a biased Arsenal fan, I'm an Arsenal fan and I'm saying Tottenham, right? So I'm clearly not being biased. The rest of my top 3, let's unveil it all at once. I'm keeping it exactly the same. Arsenal, City and Liverpool. I'm backing Arsenal to do it. I just think we're ready for it. I think we're ready to do it this year. Some of these crucial games around Christmas might prove me wrong. But I just feel like Declan Rice is a massive difference maker. City don't quite look the same. And a bit like what I was saying about Villa, I think Liverpool, when you watch them, yeah, they're up there. But performance-wise, there are cracks. There are things that don't look quite right. And I think why they will be in and around it. And look, I predicted at the start of the season Liverpool to climb back into contention. I just think they will stay third and in and around that spot. But certainly a good side. 3 very good sides. If any one of them won it, it wouldn't surprise me. Alright, those are my revisited Premier League predictions. Would love to know your thoughts in the comments below. Arsenal to win it. My relegation 3 has changed, and the top 4 looks slightly different for me. It's hard to predict, but I look forward to seeing how the season shapes up. And I just want to say a really big thank you for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, actually hit the links right here to watch more content like this, including my Football First podcast, which drops every Monday to Friday at 6 AM. And I know it's annoying, I am really sorry to have to ask, but if you want to show support to the channel, hitting the like and subscribe buttons help promote the content much more than you could possibly know. Thanks again.